October 2015 is suing the city and 4 police officers for excessive use of force and false arrest. Crosby is seeking damages in excess of $50,000. Police, they're not commenting on the case because of the lawsuit. Want to discuss now with CNN political commentator, BET News host, and Morehouse College professor Mark Lamont Hill, and CNN law enforcement analyst and retired NYPD detective Harry Houck. Mark Lamont Hill, let me start with you. First of all, that video that we saw, I said 40 minutes, that was presented by the police force. It was an edited video that they put out there. Just know where it's coming from. But your reaction when you see it?
Happy Martin Luther King Day, by the way. I was not surprised. I mean, it's happened to me before. I've been stopped for stealing my own car multiple times, detained, handcuffed. It actually happened to me about a month ago, actually. Really interesting.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a longer story than I could get into now, but it happens, right? It didn't end like that. I didn't get tackled or anything like that. My point is that this is a very common story that happens with black people. The fact that he was a doctoral student, I hate that we have to add that to the conversation, because it's like, even if he was a garbage man, even if he was a janitor, even if he was a secretary, that still shouldn't happen. I don't think it's unreasonable for police to stop if they get a report of a stolen car. But the way, once he's on the ground, they're hitting him and saying, stop resisting, which is another thing that happens a lot. People get hit, they say stop resisting, even if they're not actually resisting. That, to me, seems troublesome. I don't know if it was a false arrest, but it certainly seemed like excessive force.
Harry, you know, I saw him with his arms up outside his car. How is that resisting arrest?
Well, that's not resisting arrest. What happened? Let's go back here. They get a 911 call that it's a possible stolen car. The car was
and they saw this man, I guess, with a crowbar or a piece of metal. He was trying to fix his roof at night. Anyone with a crowbar on the roof of their car at night, you know,
looks kind of bad.
Looks kind of bad.
You know what I mean? Definitely looks kind of bad. So they pull the guy over. The first mistake this guy made was getting out of his car. The minute somebody gets out of a car like that, when they're pulled over, the police officers are thinking, now what's this guy up to? He had keys in his left hand. Another bad move. All right. He was then told to get on the ground. He did not get on the ground. Police officers went and put him down on the ground.
They went and put him down. They tackled him.
Right.
At least 4 guys.
Exactly. He was told to go down on the ground. He did not go on the ground. Or maybe he didn't go down on the ground fast enough.
It says who?
Listen, it's the police officers' lives that are in danger here.
How are they in danger? I saw.
Do you know how many police officers have been killed in the line of duty in a car stop? Hundreds, maybe even thousands. It's a very dangerous situation. He had something in his hands. Now, when they went and they tackled him and brought him down, he resisted arrest. Now, that Washington Post article that I read regarding this says that the officers beat him. There was no signs of a beating here. That is a takedown. That department has a rule that whenever you make a stop and you have a potential criminal, he's to go down on the ground.
What was threatening about the way he looked outside the car with his hands in the air, Harry?
What was threatening?
What was threatening? Look at it. He's getting out of the car right now. His arms are up.
See what's in his left hand?
Does it look threatening?
Yes, it is threatening. You're not supposed to have anything in your hand. You ever see the key that opens up to a knife? I've seen it. Police officers have been injured because of that. So the fact you don't get out of a car. I mean, I know we're all sitting here so concerned about this.
That officer in the red vest right there is the one who's beating him, by the way, the one swinging.
That is not a beating. He is punching him to make him submit. That's all that's going on right here.
So what's the difference between beating and punching? Just for my own, I'm not an insider. I'm asking. I'm appealing to your expertise. What's the difference? I'm asking. What's the difference?
What are his injuries?
No, I'm asking.
What are his injuries?
I don't know.
Don't believe
he has no injuries.
I'm asking.
He has no injuries. The man was not beat. Something like this to try and get you to submit, to put your hands behind your back, is fine. But that is not a beating.
May I respond to some of the points? May I respond to some of the points you've made? Okay. So a few things. One, he wasn't instructed to stay in the car, right? So it's not that uncommon for someone who isn't familiar with getting arrested to jump out of a car. Also, having the keys in your left hand, I don't know if you meant versus your right hand. I'm not sure whether a person knows what hand to have their keys in. I'm left-handed, so it's very likely that I would have my keys in my left hand.
That's got nothing to do with it.
I got you. I'm just saying. So part of it is people not being familiar with it. But his hands were clearly up, and there was nothing aggressive about his move. I agree. Police have to make decisions in a split second about whether someone's being dangerous. But I don't think that the reasonable standard, by the reasonable citizen or by the court standard, a reasonable cop would have looked at that video and said that this man is threatening us. And finally, when you see that guy doing this, if we make a distinction between beating and punching, sure, he was, at the very least, was being punched repeatedly, which is different than saying all we did was take him down.
Let's listen to the 911 call, because it's interesting to know what was in the minds of the officers when they went to stop this guy, Harry, because you're right.
But remember, John, they don't hear the 911 call. All they're hearing is dispatch, what dispatch gives them.
And dispatch told them that there was information about a stolen car. But this is what the 911 call was.
What did the guy look like?
He was African American with a black hood. I don't know if I'm like racial profiling. Just like I feel bad.
Did you see him jimmy the door open or do anything?
Yeah, he had a bar in his hand and he was like looked like he was jimmying the door open.
Again, you know, you can be white, you can be black, you can be any race. If you're jimmering, you know, a car door open at night, that looks odd. It was interesting to me that the caller was very aware, though, of what she was saying. She didn't want anyone to think she was calling just because the man was black.
Yeah, but, I mean, you have to question the caller here. The fact is the police officers knew nothing about that phone call except the fact that they got a call that somebody tried to break into a car and probably stole a car. That's what they were going on. They don't get a chance to hear that 9/11 call until after if they the investigation. There's nothing here indicating that this is anything racial about this at all. These were police officers who were trying to protect themselves, all right, following their procedures and their department procedures.
But I think they're going to change the procedures now.
Oh, yeah, they changed it. They don't have to go down on the ground anymore. Okay, that's fine. But those officers followed their procedure.
So I think that becomes the critical issue. I don't disagree with you. I don't think the officer said, hey, let's go tackle a black guy or let's falsely arrest a black guy.
Exactly.
However, I think what happens is when you see a black guy going into his car, people do a double take. Studies show this, if you believe in science. Police officers often are more aggressive with black suspects and white suspects. They often read as more guilty than their white counterparts. So again, I don't think the cops had a racist intent.
See, I don't agree with that at all.
No, I'm only basing what scientific studies show, but I mean, I get it.
Well,
you know, you don't have to believe in that, or dinosaurs or anything.
Scientific studies actually show that. It's not really true.
Okay, well, I'll give you an example. Philip Atiba Goff has a study out of Stanford that looks at black males versus their white counterparts, and it shows that cops read black people as older than their white counterparts and more guilty than their white counterparts. So, for example, you see someone who's 15.
Did he take a poll?
No, he did a scientific randomized study.
He thinks this.
All right,
no, he did a randomized study. That's not the. That's the opposite.
You got to take a poll. I'm sorry, you can't just think this because.
Are you hearing what I'm saying?
I understand.
No, you don't. If you think he took a poll, then you don't understand.
Hang on, guys.
He did a study of actual police officers, real people with real science and real studies.
What we're going to do is this. What we're going to do is this.
You don't buy science.
I don't buy that.
Hang on.
Have you read it? Have you seen it? On what basis do you not buy it?
I don't buy that.
Because why?
Because I have experience out there in the street. How much time has that guy been out in the street?
He's been
probably zero.
Actually, he's hired by police forces in Cleveland, San Francisco, and L.A.
That does not mean anything.
To follow police on the street and watch their arrests and their stops. So everything you're saying is... Well, you just said he had no time on the street. I'm showing you that he did. So everything you're saying is actually not true.
I got 40 hours a week for 25 years.
Right, of your own experience.
Right, mine and experience of others.
All right, guys.
Okay, you're right. Anecdotes are better than data. I agree.
All right, well, look,
you too.
I will say this. You know, this case does raise questions. They did change the procedures, as you said, Harry, going forward, and, you know, it is worthy of discussion. Mark Lamont, Harry Howe, thanks.
This has been awesome.
All right, guys, thanks.